Thanks for coming. I don't know how much of an opening statement I've got other than I'll be happy to take questions and as best I can. This is certainly an exciting day for Bowling Green hockey. I think we knew that we were going to get to this point some way, somehow, once the Penn State announcement got into place. I don't know that we knew we'd be exactly where we are today necessarily, but I think we knew that there was going to be change on the horizon somehow, some way. Before taking any questions, I think if I can, let me go back and kind of trace the history of this a little bit, just so everybody understands again. And I'm not going to say anything new, I don't believe here, but again, our primary objective through all of this process-wise has been where is the best place for BGSU hockey from a competitive standpoint, and in talking with Chris and Jim a lot about where are we going to be best positioned to compete for championships. That's been the driving decision in all of this. What's best for our hockey program on the ice as far as that ability for the team to compete for championships. I think I've been fairly open with the idea that we always thought that there might be 3 options out there for us. As far as where those would go, not necessarily that we would have 3 options, but that there would be probably, we could foresee potentially 3 different options. And again, we've been exploring those as best we can over the last couple of months. At the end of the day, the WCHA option was the most fully developed option that we had in front of us. I think it's an excellent option from a hockey standpoint. I think we've talked about that publicly and discussed that. We're certainly eager to move forward. Excited for our program, excited for Chris that he can get focused on what's on the ice and the team going forward. So with that, be happy to take any questions anybody might have.
When you say that the primary objective was the best place for the program in terms of a competitive standpoint, what were the factors, Greg, that made you feel that the WCHA fits that bill?
Well, it's again, history, tradition of the conference. The schools that are in there are great hockey programs, solid hockey programs, great fan bases. Institutionally, in a lot of ways, a lot of those schools look like Bowling Green. So again, from a hockey standpoint, it's a great fit for Bowling Green. The other thing I'll say, and this doesn't get at John's question, but I want to say this. I will be as open as I can, but I probably can't get into some of the details of individual conversations I had with specific schools. I don't think anything positive comes out of that. So you're happy to ask away, but I may frustrate you to some degree with that a little bit.
Well, that dovetails perfectly with the next question I had. Greg, other schools have made this decision before you. What was it that took so long?
We were open with the WCHA commissioner and others that, and they understood it. At the end of the day, we needed to make the best decision for Bowling Green. And when that first deadline came and went, Bruce understood that we were still having both internal conversations and external conversations with other institutions.
How important is it just to have this sense of stability now that everything's become official?
I think we never felt like there was any instability. We thought as we went through this process, we knew we would have a home. We didn't necessarily know where that home would be. From a real standpoint, I'm going to get some hours back that I'd been spending on the phone talking with different people. So from that standpoint, I guess it's nice to have it put to bed. But we felt we stood in a pretty good spot, and we knew we would have a home. But again, as the chess pieces moved, I think a lot of people didn't realize or didn't know where they would end up, and that Bowling Green was included in that.
Greg, will you talk a little bit about the emotions? Obviously, you spoke to one, having less phone conversations, more your life back, but I would think there also would have to be some emotions involved leaving the CCHA.
Honestly, John, haven't had a ton of time to think about that, and maybe that's part of a product of being in the middle of the process. But Fred Pletch, whose son is on our team, he was one of my first calls today. this morning, so he understood and knew where we were. But I've probably been talking to him every third day anyway throughout this. And at the end of the day, you're right. Some of the rivalries and the connections that we've had for several decades, I think you'll still see those play out. We'll still be playing a lot of those same schools. They'll just be non-conference games instead of conference games.
Will it be more of a burden financially? Will there be more flights, or how does that all work out?
We've run those numbers as best we can, and I think I had said that early on when asked about this before. We knew going into this, no matter which option we looked at, really, you're probably going to see some incremental cost increases, but that was not a major decision factor in all of this. That was a bridge we crossed 3 years ago, really, the financing part of it. This was a little bit more philosophical, and again, where are we going to be best competitively on the ice?
Have you committed to the WCHA for a specific number of years?
There was no request for a specific number of years. It's in my mind, it's open-ended in the sense of that's where we're going, and that's where we expect to be playing hockey for as long as we know.
Did the talks with the Atlantic Hockey Schools, Buffalo, and anybody else that might have been involved, did those ever get to the point where you decided either maybe that league or the WCHA, or was that just kind of in a discussion stage?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics, Kevin, other than the fact that we did talk. We talked with Atlantic Hockey Schools. We talked with schools from the CCHA. We talked with schools from the WCHA, the NCHC. I think we've talked to just about everybody who competes from a hockey standpoint. And I don't think necessarily it's as simple to say that we were thinking of just a binary option of either this way or that way. It's a little more complex than that as far as the options and the nuances of what we were looking at and how to put some things together. And who knows how some things may play out still. But again, I'll go back to the phrase that I said earlier. The option of the WCHA, once a number of things fell into place, is the most well-rounded and the most fully developed for us, and it's the best for us competitively from a hockey standpoint.
You get the sense that the WCHA will still be adding teams?
Yeah, I think that's open for discussion, and that'll probably be one of those first discussions that does play out. Do we as a conference stay at 9, or do you look at 10, 11, or 12? And I think Bruce McLeod would probably be the best one to speak to that.
Greg, Notre Dame obviously still hasn't formally and officially announced what they're doing. Setting that aside, do you think that all the dust has finally settled on this movement, or do you think that there's the possibility for more to come?
I think there's always, possibility for more to come. The obvious ones that are out there would be certainly what happens with Notre Dame, and then Huntsville would be the two, what I would call obvious ones that I'm aware of.
Is the insinuation there that there are more that might be less obvious then, or?
I don't want to insinuate that, but you never know. You wake up one morning and Texas A&M's in the SEC, so I don't know if you ever know what's going to happen.
Given that you can't predict the finances for Huntsville and how that's going to play out, do you expect Huntsville to have a home when everything's done?
Again, I don't want to speak for Bruce McLeod. Their athletics director called me, I think probably most hockey ADs, and at least the messaging from them is that they would like to have a home, and they're committed to hockey. So, but I don't pretend to know what the next conversations will be, whether it's with the WCHA, Atlantic, or any other league.
We good?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna.
Mm-hmm.
shift things here. We'll let Coach Bergeron come up, and you guys can, I would say, start with questions, if you have anything pertaining to the WCHA, and I'll kind of let John take over from here too, moving into the coaches' press conference, and then if you guys have questions for UConn, about UConn, or whatever else you want to, that's fine.
All right, guys. Coach Bergeron.
Coach, I guess if we can ask about this official announcement on the WCHA, your emotions, because I know I've beaten you up with this question before, but I have a feeling it's still a little mixed. I mean, the excitement of going to a new, but also seeing the CCHA behind.
Yeah, I guess in 2 years it'll be official, you know. I'm very excited. I think I've had enough time to kind of to weigh the both sides and the mixed emotions and all that. Very excited. I've had a chance over the past little while to talk to some of the coaches in the WCHA and hear their excitement level to have us with them and so on. So it's an exciting day for Bowling Green hockey. There's no doubt about it. What I feel about the CCHA and what it's meant to me, and both from the playing side and the coaching side, yeah, it's too bad, but it's where we are. And like I said, I think more so today, it's excitement than anything else.
Chris, will you talk a little bit about the reasons that it's exciting to you?
Well, you know, in this time of change, we've got a home now, and I think at the end of the day, we wanted to make sure we had a home. And then secondly, not only that, we've got a great home. When you talk about the WCHA brand in the college hockey world, which is a small world, but it's the only world that I know professionally, it's a great brand. And we think that we've got 8 other members with us that are hockey schools that are committed to hockey the same level we are. And we all know that was the catchphrase during this, committed to hockey. And we're excited to get competing there in a couple of years. For the next 2 years, we're excited to be part of the CCHA, and we're hoping to make some noise at this level. So it's, I think that's the basis of it. It's a new chapter for us in a couple of years when we get started. But it's because we're joining such a strong hockey conference is why that we're all excited.
How do you see that you can be able to compete with those schools? I mean, you're
Well, I see us being able to compete fine. I don't have a great history in terms of playing a lot of games against those schools. We actually had Bemidji State on our schedule this year, and we had the back half of that home for the 13-14 season. So now that may be a conference game. So I think our competition level doesn't change in terms of what league we're in. We still want to compete for championships. We're still a work in progress. We're still trying to build our brand as a Bowling Green hockey program. In 2 years, I think those things will be a little more solidified. I think we'll have a little more purpose to what we're doing. We'll be a little bit older, those kind of things. So I think immediately we'll be able to step into the league and compete at the level we'd like to compete at. What that means in terms of winning and losing, well, we'll let that take care of itself.
I guess when you're recruiting now, in the past you could say you're going against big-time programs, big-time exposure to the Michigans, Ohio States, Notre Dame's, Miami's. Right now, I mean, how does that change?
Well, to me, it doesn't change a whole lot. I think in the hockey world, Mankato, Bemidji, Alaska, those are big-time programs in terms of hockey. And then we've still got Ferris, Lake Superior, Northern. These are programs that in a football world or in a basketball world don't mean a whole lot, but in a hockey world they mean a lot. So, we want to be good in the state of Michigan. Well, we've got a bunch of teams in the state, so kids will still be able to have their families see them play and things like that. So we're just going to continue to focus on the type of young man we want to bring here. And I really, truly believe this, that because we have a presence in the state of Michigan with our league. Now that we have a presence with our league in the state of Minnesota, we might, it's a very deep state as well. I'm not saying we're going to be able to go to that state and get whoever we want. I'm just saying now that we do have games in our league that take place in that state, hopefully we can make a little bit of headway there with players. So I really feel truly that if a young man is making the decision based on the league, he's leaving it to chance that he's making mistakes. I still feel this is going to be competition-wise an opportunity to play at the highest level. Academically, an opportunity to get a great degree, and then hopefully from the coaching side and the chemistry side, a place where he can go and have a great experience. So, I really don't see this hurting us, honestly. I know people are going to say he's crazy, he's wrong. Michigan State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, they get whoever they want anyway. And that's a fact. I was an assistant coach for 10 years, and kids would go there. Well, it's Michigan. That's why I'm going there. So I really feel we're going to continue to establish who we are, and we're going to get kids based on that.
You think Bowling Green can get to that level as far as getting kids to say, kind of look at Bowling Green as like an Ohio State type deal?
Well, someone's going to have to prove to me that we can't, because I think we can. And that's what brings us to work every day. And, I know Barry and Ty, they're the ones out there grinding it out in the recruiting trail and doing a great job. And no one's going to tell us that we can't get to that level. We're going to fight like to try. I tell you that. So that's always been the intention. I've been through that. I've had some personal experience with that before. 10 years ago, we couldn't get kids to call us back. And now it's supposed to be the place to play. Why can't we be that? It's a process. I mean, we got a ways to go, but like I said before, we're gonna go down fighting if we can't get there.
Does anyone have any questions on opening the regular season against UConn?
Oh, yeah. Now that you've had 2 days to reflect on the exhibition, anything you haven't said yet, or?
No, I think the exhibition was exactly what we wanted it to be. It was a good dress rehearsal. At the bottom line, we got a win, which is always nice. We've got some young guys. We're in positions where they're probably going to be, starting Friday, so they got a chance to get a little bit of experience. The tape showed a great effort. It showed we've got to work on execution, which one day of official practice, anybody, that's pretty obvious. We're going to have to work on that. We went back to work yesterday. It was a day off. We went back to work today. It was good effort today. So I think our foundation of hard work is going to be there. The fact that we don't have a lot of experience, well, that is what it is. So we'll deal with that. And the tape just reaffirmed that there's plenty of room for improvement, and that was our focus for practice today.
When you look at the lineup this weekend, are you going to give all the guys a chance to play, or are you going to play to win, or how do you?
Well, we're going to play to win. All the guys a chance, not necessarily. The evaluating officially started Saturday, October 1st, with our first official day. That continued on Sunday with our exhibition game, and then today in practice. And the players on our team know that, so they're all fighting for spots. We feel we're deeper this year, and guys are going to have to earn their way into the lineup. It's not just going to be handed to them because there's nobody else. So they know that, and we'll see what they do with that opportunity as individuals.
And again, keeping in mind, it's only been 2 days since we last talked. Do you expect to have Mueller and Masao this weekend?
Based on today's practice, yes.
And Shea will be eligible to return?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we should have, with the exception of Mark, all 14 forwards and all 8 defensemen, 3 goaltenders in term, being available to play.
And then just to double check, is McIntosh a forward?
He is a forward.
In terms of the offensive guys making a difference, is Williamson one guy you're counting on? He was the leading scorer in the Alberta League 2 years ago. He started to figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryce is one of those guys that we challenged last spring. We told him that if what he heard last season was something that he didn't want to be a part of, just not to come back this fall because the expectations are so high. And not only did he come back, he came back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and a focus, saying that, yeah, I had some things to learn, but I've figured it out, and I'm pushing forward. And he is a guy that, you know, his best hockey's ahead of him. You know, I think when you play junior, at times you're allowed to get away with some things that when in college you just can't, and create offense at the same time. You just can't do those two things. You have to pay a price to create offense in college, and Bryce is figuring that out. And he's a guy we're absolutely going to count on to be involved in the offense. And I think it bothered him on Sunday that, you know, he wasn't as involved as he wanted to be because he had chances in terms of the results. You know, I'm not saying by any means he didn't play well. He did play well. But to see him, we look at that as he feels it as a responsibility of his to be involved offensively.
Assume the special teams continue to be an emphasis now.
Yeah. You know, the penalty kill was not very good. We thought the power play was good. You know, with yesterday being a day off, it's difficult because it makes a short practice week. But we're going to go back to work on the penalty kill tomorrow and maybe even again Thursday, and then the power play the same. So it won't be because of lack of preparation on our special teams that we don't execute. It'll be just a matter of working through it, and like we've talked about, and you'll hear it at length, we have young guys without the experience of being out there, that we're just going to have to gain experience and practice the best we can and play games. That's it.
What do you expect out of DeSalvo this year?
Well, we expect he's somebody that's going to be a top 9 forward for us. He's a guy that makes a lot of small hockey plays, and he's always found a way to create offense, and he's really good on the power play. So he's a guy that we expect it's going to compete to be on the power play every game. He's just he's not a very big guy, but he's a guy that keeps coming at you, and he makes a lot of small plays that sometimes are subtle, and then around the other team's net, he's just got a knack of either creating offense for somebody else or scoring goals himself. So we expect that.
Is he another guy that could make a big impact then offensively?
We hope so. You know, he's only got 1 year in the USHL, so, you know, his experience isn't as much as, you know, Carp played 2 years in the USHL, Burkle played a couple years in the USHL. So, you know, I think Dan's going to be put in positions where it could be a big impact. It'll just be a matter of, you know, is he able to execute? Does he have, you know, the mental and physical strength to do those things as a freshman? We're going to need him to.
What do you expect from UConn this weekend?
UConn is probably in the hockey world underrated. I don't know how many people they're sneaking up on, but they're not going to sneak up on us. They're a very good team. Their effort is outstanding. They've got some good size. You know, I think that they made some noise in their league last year. We saw them play Christmas time, and we weren't able to play them. We just didn't match up, but they're a great test for us right away. You know, we're looking forward to it.
Is that it? Thank you.
Thanks.